All right, well, hi, welcome to the Art Gallery of Regina's 2026 Members Show and Sale Information Session. So welcome people who are joining us in person or online or watching this recorded video. I'm Sandy, I'm the Director Curator of the AGR.
And I'm Madeline, I'm the Connections Manager.
And we're going to hopefully answer any questions you have or didn't even know you had about submitting and preparing artworks to the Art Gallery of Regina's Members Show and Sale fundraiser. So we have copies of our guidelines. If you're joining us in person, you can pick up a copy or stop by the gallery to pick up a printed copy. We also have PDF files on our website that you can view there or download and print off yourself. So submissions to the Art Gallery of Regina's Members Show and Sale opened February 6th, and you have until March 9th to make your submissions. And for a few years now, we've been doing our submissions online only. And Madeline will be showing you what the submission form looks like. The next page, I wonder if you're able to pull up like from our website, the JPEGs, and share them on the screen here. I'll just go through the dates to remember. So of course, February 6th, submissions open. March 9th, is the entry deadline. March 30th is artwork drop-off, and that's between 10 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. And if your schedule does not allow you to drop off your work either after 10 a.m. or before 5:30 p.m., please just contact the gallery and we'll work something out with you. You can also entrust someone else to drop off your artwork for you. But part of our process at the artwork drop-off day is verifying that all of the information you entered in our online form, it matches up with the artworks that you're delivering. So if somebody else is taking on that responsibility for you, make sure that they know what they have. And then April 4th, a very short turnaround, we're going to open the Members Show and Sale. So that's a Saturday, and that's also when we're going to have our opening reception from 1 to 4 p.m. The opening reception is an informal coffee and tea reception, and come and go affair, and we invite you to bring your friends, families, let other people in your circle know, celebrate you and your work as well as the gallery. And the Member Show and Sale goes all the way until April 25th. And a couple of days later, April 27th, will be artwork pickup, and that's between noon and 5 p.m. Once again, if you can't make that, you can arrange for somebody else to pick up your artwork on your behalf, or make other arrangements with the gallery. We accept applications online only. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a computer or email or just is being frustrated by the online submission form, you can give us a call, 306-522-5940, and we can fill that out on your behalf over the phone. And if you have a smartphone, we've got a QR code on this page, and you can use that QR code to open the submission form on your phone. Who can submit? You must be 18 years of age or older, no maximum age. You must be able to drop off and pick up the artwork yourself or have someone else do so. And once again, refer to the important dates and make sure that you know which days are the drop-off day and pickup day. And you should be a current member of the Art Gallery of Regina. So it says a member in good standing, and that means that you've paid your membership fee for the current year. If you need to renew or purchase your membership, you can do so on our website, giving us a call, or visit the gallery in person. And I encourage you to do that regardless. We're at 2420 Elphinstone Street. What can you submit? So we have a couple of different categories that you can submit artworks into, and I'm going to review them in a little bit, but you can submit artwork in any or all categories. All artwork must be the artist's original creation, not a copy of another artist's work or made from a kit. The person submitting the work must be the creator of the artwork. Workshop that you've created in class, or sorry, artwork you've created in a class or workshop is accepted. And all artwork must be for sale because this is the gallery's biggest fundraising event of the year. So the next page is the categories overview. And we have sometimes a little bit of funny terms that we use as a short way of describing each of these. Wall work is primarily two-dimensional artworks. That means like paintings, drawings, photographs, other two-dimensional work that are framed or on a stretched canvas. Like this here would be a stretched canvas. And are prepared to hang from a single nail. And I'll tell you a bit about that as well. And the limit for wall work is 2 per entrant. We also have works on paper. These are unframed items, so prints, photographs, drawings, etc. that are on paper. They are loose in a bin for browsing. And I'll also show you how to prepare works on paper. And the limit is 6 per person. And I will tell everyone that this is a hot category. Usually you make a lot of sales by having unframed works on paper because a lot of purchasers will know that one, it's good deals to be had, but also they're not paying for a frame that maybe is not the frame that they want. And frames very expensive. We have something called table work, and this is two-dimensional artwork up to 15 inches maximum dimension displayed on tabletop easels. I didn't bring out any of the little easels with me, but there will be a photo when we get to that page in the guidelines. And that's 1 per entrant. And if you have your own easel, we encourage people to bring their own tiny little easel for their artwork, but make sure it's well marked. Pedestal work is different. It's primarily 3-dimensional work, so that could be ceramics, jewelry, sculpture, and under 12 inches in any dimension and not suitable for wall hanging. And the limit is 6 per entrant. Sorry, that was small pedestal work, and then large pedestal work is again 3-dimensional work over 12 inches in any dimension, not suitable for wall hanging, and a maximum of 3 large pedestal works per entrant. So Michelle, I'm going to put you on the spot a bit, but are there, and do you have questions about any of the categories or the limits?
I had a question specifically about wall work, actually.
Oh,
Is this the right spot to ask it?
Sure.
Okay, I was wondering, for the wall work, does it have to be on a gallery depth canvas if it's unframed?
Oh, okay. So if it's on a stretched, like if it's got a stretcher bar,
Yeah.
so some of the ones I've seen that are like, they might be like about half the thickness of this one. That's still fine because we will be able. You just need to make sure you have D-rings and hanging wire on the back. And then there should be still room. It's not like we're going to use a huge big nail. But yeah, so thank you for that question. So the question is really about the depth between the stretcher bar and the front of the canvas. So yeah, we'll just, we receive works that are sometimes a little bit thinner in depth and it's not a problem for us.
Thank you.
Yes.
On that theme, I would say we wouldn't accept just like canvas board, like the ones that are on hardboard or whatever.
Right. I mean, if you can think of a way to prepare that so that it can be hung from a single nail, I can think of maybe possible ways, but yeah, it won't be as stable as a stretched canvas if it was canvas board. So yeah, great. So we mentioned wall work. There's a little bit more detail on the next page. Primarily 2-dimensional works, framed or on canvas or cradle board, and prepared to hang from a single nail. So limit is 2 wall works per entrance. They must be one continuous piece. So if you said, I've got two pieces and they go together. Because our show and sale is hung by volunteers, that's actually too much of, I think, a burden to put on volunteers to kind of play to every individual artist. We normally have about 150 participating members to their wants and desires. So we just say no diptychs, triptychs, or other joined and non-joined groupings. 15 pounds maximum. So again, if you're working with like a framed canvas or a cradle board, it's not going to be really heavy. Sometimes framing artworks under glass can make them quite heavy. You know, also if you're doing a multimedia collage where maybe there's like stone, ceramic, metal items that are adhered to the wall work, it could make it also really heavy. And we don't want anything to basically, you know, tear up the D-rings or your hanging wire or tear a nail out of the wall. So we just have a maximum weight. And the size cannot exceed 40 inches. And 40 inches is pretty big. And of course, sometimes I feel like these things go without saying, but I'm going to say them anyways. So it should be clean, free from stains and smudges. Fully dry, so especially if you're working in a medium that takes a long time to cure, like oil paint, make sure that it's fully dry before you drop it off. Frames should be clean and sturdy, so if you bought a frame from a thrift store, no problem, but just make sure that it's actually intact. All pieces must be well attached, no damaged or broken artwork. And it should be complete, not unfinished. Fragile surfaces such as pastel or charcoal should be fixed with a spray fixative. And it must be prepared to hang from a single nail, ideally with D-rings and coated hanging wire. Get to that on page 13.
You just missed this one.
Canvas stretchers. Oh, canvas stretchers and supports should not be warped or loose. And actually, this is very important. Again, if you're buying maybe a cheaper stretched canvas, I've seen them warp to such an extent that it curves away from the wall. And that's not an artwork that anybody would want to buy. So I encourage you to use good quality stretched canvases. And finally, if you want, you can attach a business card to the back. You could just tape it on. And that's in addition to the gallery label that we want to have on your artwork. The next is works on paper guidelines. And if you're following along on screen or in the printed guidelines, you'll see there's a picture of our print bin there. So that's where the artworks are loose for browsing in that bin. So it's important to prepare them properly as well. And works on paper includes unframed items like prints, photographs, drawings, etc. on paper, loose in a bin for browsing. 6 works per entrance. Maximum size is 22 by 30 inches. Again, a pretty good size. Display conditions, the works must be backed with sturdy cardboard and wrapped in plastic. That's an example. Again, clean, free from stains and smudges, fully dry, completed, not unfinished. Fragile surfaces such as pastel or charcoal should be fixed with spray fixative. Undamaged. Business cards can be attached to the back, and I would put it inside the plastic wrapping, as well as your artwork label inside the plastic wrapping. And yes, that's the last point. Place the label inside the plastic wrapping. So if you take your artwork label to the outside of the plastic wrapping, there is a chance that after many browsings in the bin that it could get ripped off. So we want to make sure that your information about your artwork stays with it. So put it inside the plastic. Table work guidelines. So these are small 2-dimensional artworks displayed on small easels. And you can see there's a photo from last year's show and sale on this page 7. These can include paintings, photographs, or other work that is mostly 2-dimensional, framed, or on stretched canvas. And of course, if you have a small cradle board, you can do that as well. And I think, I don't know if I'm going somewhere I shouldn't, but I also think perhaps not mat board, canvas board would be fine here
Yeah.
as well. Limits are 1 per entrant, and this is mostly because we have a limited number of those little easels. And they must, again, be 1 continuous piece, no diptychs, triptychs, or other joined or non-joined groupings, and cannot exceed 15 inches in any dimension. If you supply your own easel, ensure that the easel is marked so we can return it to you at the end of the show. Make sure your work is clean and stay free from smudges and stains, fully dry. Frames should be clean and sturdy. Canvas stretchers and supports should not be warped or loose. All pieces must be well attached. No damaged or broken work accepted. Completed, not unfinished. Fragile surfaces, again, should be fixed with spray fixative. Business cards can be attached to the back. And although these won't be hung in the gallery, they'll be on an easel. They should be ready to be hung by the purchaser. And then we get to our small pedestal work. Small pedestal work is primarily 3-dimensional objects that can include jewelry, pottery, fiber art, sculpture, and other 3-dimensional work not suitable for wall hanging. The limit is 6 small pedestal works per entrant, must not exceed 12 inches in any direction, excluding necklace chains. And the display conditions. So if you're a jeweler, this is a special situation. Jewelers are encouraged to provide their own clearly labeled display stand and to arrange or install their own work. And when we get to the volunteer jobs to help us mount this big production, the member show and sale, you'll see that there is a time there for all jewelers to show up and help with the display of their jewelry. Again, small pedestal work should be clean, free from stains and smudges, thoroughly dried or fired if it's ceramics, made from stable materials, so something that will not easily break or degrade. All pieces must be well attached. Pottery should be free from cracks or damage. If pottery is not food safe, label it so. If special care is required, include care instructions and care items with packaging. Business cards can be submitted with your items and they will be placed next to the artwork when they're displayed on pedestals. And then large pedestal guidelines, pretty much the same, just bigger. Primarily 3-dimensional objects, which can include pottery, sculpture, textiles, and 3-dimensional work not suitable for wall hanging. 3 large pedestal works is the limit per entrant for this category. Work must be able to sit safely on a pedestal, so not too large or too precarious. Size cannot exceed 25 inches in any dimension, and weight cannot exceed 20 pounds. And display conditions, once again, clean, free from stains and smudges, thoroughly dried or fired, made from stable materials. All pieces must be well attached. Pottery should be free from cracks or damages. Label pottery that is not food safe. And business cards can be submitted with your items and be placed next to them on the pedestal. And again, if you have artwork that you're not sure which category it might fit into, I know that last year we had more fiber artists and textile artists than usual. Many of them were participating in the pedestal work category, but could also contributed some work to the wall work categories. So just give us a call or an email at the gallery and we'll let you know what, how to work it out. We want you to participate, really. That's we don't want to put up barriers. We just want to make things easy for everyone. How to submit? I think we're getting to Madeline's part of this presentation. To enter, simply fill out the online submission form with your personal details and artwork label information. And this is important because we print the labels that go next to the artworks in the gallery directly from what you submit through the online submission form. So if you make a mistake, particularly a mistake in the price, so double check your entries before you hit submit is the best thing. And we do have ways to correct things, but it's a lot easier if you just double check before you hit submit. And that's also when we put artworks for sale on our website through the show and sale store page on our website. That information is also directly from the entry forms. Yeah, Madeline, are we at you now? Right, you go.
Do we want to do the online portion and go through the form? Or do
Yeah.
we want to finish this and then do the?
I think we could go through the form.
Okay. So I want to, if we're going to the APR website, we have a whole page dedicated to the member show and sale. Might notice that we have a lot of the same instructions in a lot of different places. So I'll try not to be too redundant, but at the same time, we're just hoping that no matter how people can access the information, that they get those instructions consistently. So this is the member show and sale website. You can find it in exhibitions, member show and sale, or through that homepage. You can find here a link, a button and a link to renew your membership or become a member. There's a little thing about this session that's happening right now. This is also where you can download the guidelines. So there's the PDF file here, but there's also images just right on the page. So if you want to read them directly on the web page, you can do that as well. And it is worth mentioning as well that there's a sheet of the labels at the end of the PDF guideline, so that everybody downloads the guidelines so you have access to create your own labels as well. There's a section for tutorials. So we have one of our older videos, tutorial videos of basically this, a lot of the same stuff we're going through today, on YouTube, which is linked here. We also have PDF forms of specific tutorials on how to upload photos online, as well as from your phone and how to rename files. So if those are things that you're having issues with, those PDFs are a great place to start. Obviously, if you can't figure it out, we're happy to help. So you can always call or email us about those issues as well. So this section covers the submission form. So we've got basic instructions as well as the link directly to the form. So as Sandy said already, we only take submissions through the online form. You do not need to have a Gmail account to use the Google form. So if you have any kind of email address, you can still use the Gmail form. The form, you can fill it out on a computer, but you can also do it on your phone or a tablet. Basically any device that you can use an internet browser on, you can fill out the form on. As a part of the form, there's a place to confirm that you have read the submission guidelines and that you're, by filling out the form and submitting it, agreeing to follow the submission guidelines. So make sure that you have read them and kind of know what you're agreeing to before you submit the form. There's no time limit to complete the form, so there's no need to panic once you start it. If you close it and come back, it will still be at the point that you left it at. But once you submit it, you can't change it. So it's better to kind of start it and leave it than submit multiple times. Because that can get more confusing if we have a bunch of entries from the same person. Obviously, things happen. You can always call us and let us know if you want to make a change or an edit. And we would prefer that over kind of resubmitting the same information with corrections through the form. So another way to just prepare to do the submission form is I have listed just kind of all the types of information you'll need on hand to finish the form. So rather than starting it and then scrambling because you need to do stuff, we ask for your full legal name. There's also an option to add a preferred name. So if you use a nickname or a different name kind of in conversation, we also need the name that your bank uses specifically. So for the purposes of payments and checks, we want to make sure that you're able to deposit things. So that is why we ask for your full legal name that your bank uses. Mailing address and phone number. Most people obviously know those things, but if you just moved, you need to write it down. It's a good idea to have an idea of what categories you're submitting to, because that's one of the first questions, is just to tick off which categories you're submitting to. And you'll need a list of the artworks that you're submitting, as well as all the information for those artworks. So the titles, your dimensions, your media or materials, and the price. Photos for all your artworks with file names that match how we want them to be. So there's a formula or a format in this guidelines, which we'll go through in a moment. So make sure that your photo files are already named properly before starting the submission form. Make sure that they're JPEGs or PNG files. If you have a Gmail account, you can attach the photos directly into the form. Just make sure you know where they are on your device. If you don't have a Gmail account, you can email photos to us at info at our galleryregina.ca. You can also use a sharing service, or you can bring a USB, like a thumb drive, on drop-off day, and we'll download your photos then. The tutorials that were above were about how to upload files. So if you're like, I don't know how to do a shared drive, it's in the tutorial. So I'm not going to go through it today. We don't want to have a 2-hour long video, but there are tutorials, and also if you have problems, we are happy to help. If you're incorporated as an artist and therefore have a GST number for tax purposes, we ask that you provide that as well. And then, yes, that just reiterates, if you're unable to fill the form, you're having problems, you can contact us. So I'll come back to the actual submission form in a second. I'm just going to finish the rest of the member show sale page. So we don't require people to volunteer in order to participate. So you're welcome to participate whether or not you can volunteer. But obviously, it's always nice when people do volunteer, because it helps things run more smoothly. So we have included a volunteer sign up on the page as well.
On the
web
website.
page, sorry. It is not in the physical guidelines. So just a quick overview of how to navigate that. There's an overall schedule that just shows when certain tasks happen and what days we're looking for volunteers. And then underneath that is the schedule or the booking screen. So just some quick steps on how to navigate that. Look at the schedule ahead of time, maybe make some quick notes about what days and times you're wanting to do. this is embedded, so you have to use the little mini bar to go through all of the different tasks. Some of them are on one day only, and some of them have multiple dates. So that's where this schedule comes in handy to reference.
I just want to add something, Madeline.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at it's basically an appointment booking.
Yeah.
So if you're looking down below, let's say that artwork hanging goes over 3 days, but the block to book an appointment to volunteer to hang artwork will just have the first date of those 3 days available.
Yeah.
Right? On this view. Once you get in there, you can see a little bit more.
Yeah.
And
So
this is,
sorry.
oh, I was gonna say, this is our first time doing
Yeah.
our volunteer sign up this way before tonight. Madeline and I are always in a process of trying to screen the blind things and make sure that our communications are really good and we're making things easy on ourselves. So we're trying this year.
Yeah. So in the booking window, it's organized by task and not by date. So that's why I included this calendar view as well as the booking window. So you can choose a task. So it'll show you what it's named and how long the appointment is. It will not show you the dates right away. It'll show you the day that you're trying. So you have to push that jump to next available date button, and then it'll show you the time slots that are available. So the reason that that's like that is that if somebody has already signed up for that task, that we're not tripling or doubling people up. So the next available date will be, the right time, and then you can sign up for whichever one you choose. If you want to do more than one, you have to hit back on the browser. So it's a little bit clunky that way, but you'd hit back and then reselect the task and then another time slot. And then we have a picture from last year. That's the end of the page. So I'm just going to pop back up to the submission form. So by clicking the link, you'll open the Google form. So this is what the submission form looks like, and it'll kind of take you through the steps. So obviously we've kind of gone through a lot of these directions before. So like I said, you'll see a lot of the same directions many times. It has a reminder about the due date, talks about how to upload files a little bit. It's got a couple of links to how to email us, the web page for information. And then it also talks about you can drop off photos on drop off day. It has the date again. It also reminds you that you can phone us, that we want you to read guidelines. That you're not required to volunteer, but you're welcome to. And then that we are sponsored by Lakeview Fine Foods. Thank you, Lakeview Fine Foods. This just shows if you have a Gmail account and there are multiple people in your household that use the same device with Gmail accounts, which is a very niche problem, then you might need to switch which account you're currently in, but generally you shouldn't have to. So you just put in your email as the very first step. So you do need an email to proceed in the form. So these are all the kind of individual information, and you'll note that these all have little red dots, so it means that you're required to fill them in. It's fine if your first name, nickname, whatever is the same as your legal name, you just have to write it again. And once again, the legal name just means the name that your bank uses.
While we are on the topic of the information that your bank uses, yes, so as I mentioned, the labels, for the artwork and our listings on our website are printed from the entries you make here. But I also use, the entries you make here when requesting, checks to pay artists out for, 70% of the sales proceeds. And also using the, mailing address you provide. I do just want to remind folks that I wait until the show and sale ends. So that means after April 25th, and then I add up all the sales per artist. So I don't request your payout as soon as the sale is made. I do it after the show ends. And I think last year's, the payments that I requested, I think it took me 3 full work days to do all the requests. And, it was about a 4-inch thick pile of paper. And that was like similarly when the checks came back, and then they have to get signed by 2 authorized signatories on our bank account because we're a registered charity. It was a big step as well, but I just want to remind folks that because of our financial controls, it is a little bit of like a 4 to 6 week wait after the show and sale ends.
And on that note, do you just make sure that you put your full mailing address, not just your street address, but city, province, postal code, because we are sending you mail. And then at the bottom here is your spot for selecting which categories you're entering artworks in. So I'm just going to select wall work. So the each category has its own page. So you'll notice, this only has wall work on it. And we have a specific kind of format that we want you to enter your information in. The name, and then the name of the artwork, or title, your medium, and the size, usually in inches. If you use centimeters, just indicate that you're using centimeters. And then your price. Just leave it all in one line, please. So when we do the labels, we will organize it onto separate lines, but for this form, it works best if everything's just on the same line. And I'll do that for both of my hypothetical works here. Oh, sorry, that's an accident.
Yes, we need to use the Apple key.
There we go. So if you have a Gmail account, this is where you can add your file. So you would only be adding the photographs for this category. So this is only for wall works. I'm going to add photos for that. So you can either open your file explorer and drag them into this window, or you can open your file explorer through this. So I've got my art1 and art2. And they should upload relatively quickly. If you have very large files, you can either make them smaller, or if you're not sure how to do that, bring your files on a USB, and it's probably the easiest way to do that. Or you can use a file sharing service that doesn't have size limits, but this is quite easy and slick if you have a Gmail account. So I've got all my wall work information in, so I'm going to hit next. So it's going to go through each of the categories. And in this case, I just selected that I'm doing wall work, so I can just skip all the other categories. So I'm just going to hit next until I get through them.
So you can just leave all those fields blank and go on to enter into the category that you want to Me, I usually do small pedestal work, so I leave them all blank until I get to the second to last one.
So there is a place here, if you have put all your photos in a Google Drive and you want to paste a link, you can do it there. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that is covered in the file sharing tutorial. But if you also have no idea what I'm talking about, it might be simpler to choose a different method. And then we ask you to just confirm how you're delivering your photographs. So there's the option for uploading it directly into the form, which is what I just went through, pasting a link to a Google Drive. If you have less than 5 photographs, you can email them to us. We prefer, if you have a lot of photos, not to email because it'll be like 10 emails. And it's easier to manage if you do it in a different way. There's an option for file sharing service, and then there's also an option for a USB drive on drop-off day, as well as gallery take my photos. So we prefer that people take their own photos, not just because it saves time, but also because we don't want to put photos that people don't like up on our website or whatever, or use them for promotions. But of course, not everybody has access to a decent camera or feels confident with that. So if you don't know anybody who can take pictures for you, and you also can't take pictures yourself, we will take pictures for you. It's just that we're just gonna take the pictures and that's gonna be what they look like, so you don't get any control over what it will kind of look like in the end. Obviously we have a good camera, we try to take good pictures, but it'll just be what it is. Here's the little click box to say, yes, I have read and agree to follow the guidelines. Also includes right there another link, in case you want to give it a quick skim once again to make sure that you agree with everything. It also says, I understand that my legal information will appear as I have written it, and that no changes can be made after I submit this form. We can make changes, it's just not easy, and it's also not guaranteed to be perfect. So it's easiest if there are as few mistakes at this point as possible, rather than trying to go in and change it. I will also make a note that my legal information will appear as I have it, includes like capitalization. I don't think italics or whatever will translate, but if you have a title in all caps, that's how it'll appear on the label. So make sure that, you have it the way that you want it to be displayed.
Yeah, we would prefer, I know that some of our member artist guilds, they ask their members to put, I think, their names in all caps. We would really prefer that you do not do that. If you normally have a mixed case on the spelling of your name, please enter it that way on the form.
We also have a little confirmation that you're the creator and copyright holder of the work. If this is something that you're like worried about, you're probably fine. The main purpose is just that you haven't directly created a copy of a famous artwork or, another local artist's work, or, used a paint by numbers kit or something like that.
Or like a registered trademark and
Yeah.
he's gonna kind of.
Yeah. Yes, that's another good thing. So, we just want everybody to agree that they are the creator and copyright holder of the work. Like I said before, if you have incorporated as an artist and you have a GST number for your business, you have to check that so that we can charge it for you. We don't require that you are incorporated as an artist, it's just an option. And then the very last thing is artwork drop-off day. So just to confirm whether you're dropping off your own work or you've asked somebody else to do it for you. As Danny said way back at the beginning, if you are having somebody drop it off for you, just make sure that they know which works are which. And are kind of in a position to be able to tell you or us, yes, this work is here, no, this work isn't here. Once you've filled out the entire form, you then just hit submit. I will point out that there's this little toggle button here. So I would say it's always a good idea to just click it on. So it says send me a copy of my responses. So it'll email you with the email you provided at the very beginning, a copy of all of your answers to all of the questions. And that way, if you need to reference it or, you're on pickup day, can't remember what you said you were going to bring or whatever, you have that copy as well. And then you just hit submit, which I'm not going to do this time, but click submit and it'll take you to a screen that says you've submitted.
I do tend to get a good number of emails and phone calls every year of people who want me to go and check and make sure their submission did go through. I don't mind that. So if you, I do encourage you to do as Madeline said, to check off the box to send you a copy of your submission. And that is also a confirmation that we have received it as well. Obviously, if you show up at our drop-off day and we don't have your information, this is another opportunity for us to correct that wherever the process went awry. So, don't worry too much. But but we're here to help. So
yeah, yeah, we will always do what we can to make sure that everybody can participate. All right.
So I think we're back to me now and back to the printed guidelines. So I'm on to page 12, which is pricing your work. And this is again something that tend to get a number of questions about. So as I mentioned before, this is a fundraising event for the Art Gallery of Regina, and of course a way for artists to basically receive the support of your community and know that people value your work enough to pay money for it. But because it's a fundraising event, we have a minimum price, that's $15. We also have a maximum price, $800. So really consider this when you're thinking about what you want to submit to our member show and sale, as well as things like a maximum dimensions. And the reason we have a maximum price is I find that artworks that are priced over $800 tend not to sell. And so, if people are wondering what does sell, I will tell you small size paintings really sell well. People can always find a space for that little painting that they love. Ceramics sell well, textiles sell well. As I mentioned, unframed works on paper sell well. The jewelry sells well, honestly, I think everything does pretty well at the member show and sale. And I think that's really, wonderful for us, wonderful for our members. We do have a couple of rules of thumb to consider when you're pricing your work. Consider the labor and materials invested in your work, including framing. So, if you think I put $800 worth of work and materials into this painting, and then you're going to spend an extra $150, $200 getting it framed, that might not be, our member show and sell might not be the right place for that. What people are likely to pay for our work, how other participants in the show and sale are pricing their work, and also consider that 30% of artwork sales support the Art Gallery of Regina. So if you think I want to get, let's say, $700 for this artwork, then consider that. I was trying to make that a nice round number for myself, and then 30%, 22, anyways, 30% of that is going to go back to the gallery. And we give you a charitable tax receipt for that. We consider it a donation. So here, as I mentioned, the member show and sale is our most important fundraising event of the year. We are a charity that serves the public good through free, publicly accessible exhibitions and events, affordable workshops, and more. And 30% of sales proceeds directly support the Art Gallery of Regina's charitable activities. By submitting work to the member show and sale, you agree to contribute 30% of your sales to the Art Gallery of Regina. You can also choose to donate a larger percentage. So
I forgot that.
we'll be adding that to the submission form. The Art Gallery of Regina, a few other things to keep in mind. The Art Gallery of Regina handles all sales during the member show and sale. So please do not go doing a sale on your own without involving the gallery. Artists should not take payment for artworks during the member show and sale event. Madeline had, when she walked us through the submission form, mentioned that when you fill out the artist name, title of the artwork, medium, dimensions, price, do not calculate taxes into that price. We do that for you. So we calculate PST on everything. If you've checked off the box that you have a GST number, we'll calculate the GST as well. But we don't want to, do something that you've already done or the other way around. So just give us the number and we'll add the taxes. We remit GST to artists who have provided us with their GST number or who let us know that they have a GST number. Due to the high volume of sales, we cannot notify artists of the sales until after the show and sale closes. However, we do update our web store daily. So you can check on our website, the member show and sale page, the online store, and usually there's like sold preceding the title of your artwork. So you'll be able to check on whether things have sold as the show and sale goes along. For privacy reasons, this is something, it's not that new. I think around 2016, there was new privacy legislation in Canada. So we cannot legally share purchaser information with the artist. We ask that you include your business card or thank you card so that buyers can contact you if they wish. And following the member show and sale closing, artists receive a charitable tax receipt for the donation portion of artwork sales, which is 30%. And a check with the balance, 70% of sale proceeds. The Art Gallery of Regina mails checks to artists, and understand due to many factors, checks can take 4 to 6 weeks to arrive after the show ends. And now we're kind of at the demo portion. So you probably noticed that I've got quite an array of stuff in front of me.
I was just gonna also say more blatantly that we can only pay people by check.
Oh, so yes,
We often get people, at least somebody asking if we can send an e-transfer,
we cannot.
and we can't. And it has to do with our charitable status and our reporting
Right, yes,
procedures.
that's a good point. Yeah, we can't do e-transfer because as a registered charity, we have to have 2 authorized signatories on every payment. And so we can't do e-transfer. All right, so we are, this is something I mentioned earlier. If you have wall work, it must be prepared to hang from a single nail, and that means putting D-rings and a hanging wire on. Now I've just got this kind of plain hanging wire here. We prefer that you use a coated wire, and that's because the gallery walls, they use a very flat paint that marks really easily. And I have a few different kinds. I also find these just single strand wires.
Sorry, I keep framing it badly.
I find that these single strand wires are a lot easier to use than the braided wires. And as you can see, I already hurt myself on this wire, so please be careful. as you're doing it. If you need or want D-rings, the gallery has a lot, so if you wanted to take some with you or come down to the gallery and pick some up, we could give you some D-rings to attach to the back of your artwork. You could also use eyelet, screw threaded eyelets like this.
You want me to hold it pretty?
Some people call these
Yeah.
thread eyes or screw eyes or thread eye screws. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So you could use these as well. And you know, I am not I'm maybe not the best person at this, but if you get your artworks professionally framed, the framer will do this for you. And it is important if you are framing artworks to make sure that they have the ability. Either they should be wood, so if they don't come with a hanging wire and D-rings, that you can attach them yourself. So if you buy a plastic frame, it should also have something where you can clip in the D-rings, but you would need to also buy a different kind of D-ring. You couldn't use these ones that screw in. But just a word of warning to make sure that however you're preparing your artworks, that you can also add the D-rings and the hanging wire. I'm going to drill a pilot hole. And that's just going to prevent this wood from cracking when I put the screw in. You don't want to crack your stretcher bar. And another thing that you'll want to do, these are, you'll see really short screws, because you really just want enough of thread on the screw to hold the D-ring onto your artwork. And make sure the head, sorry, this is what I actually wanted to point out, make sure the head of the screw is large enough so it won't slide through the hole in the D-ring where you mount it. I should have chosen a slightly larger bit. And I'm just kind of putting that in. I don't want it to be crazy tight in there. So you can just move it a little bit if you need to. But generally the tops of the loops on the D-ring should be pointing straight up. And then you have your length of wire. Our instructions say 4 to 6 inches wider than the frame, which is a nice guideline to use. I think mine's maybe a little bit long. And then you just really you just loop it through, and then you can just coil it back along the length. I'm going to cut this. I have too much. And one thing you want to make sure with your hanging wire, I didn't wrap that really fully around, but you can see on this side that it's wrapped along there. So you want to make sure that any like loose little ends on here are nicely tucked in so that somebody hanging the artwork, one of our volunteers, won't poke themselves. It won't snag the clothing of the purchaser and so on. And this is how I hurt myself. I think I'll just trim actually right there. And the most important thing with your hanging wire is to make sure that it's not going to come up either to the stretcher bar or even worse above the top of the canvas. So this should be invisible. And I would say approximately 2/3 of the way up the height of your painting or canvas. You could do it about halfway too. If you are exhibiting in our outside the box hallway, you want to mount your D-rings a little bit higher because they'll kind of tend to, because those ones aren't supported by a wall, they'll flop forward a little bit more. But for artworks going on the gallery wall, this would be good. And where that is, you can see I'm kind of holding it up with my finger like that. but that would be able to hang from a single nail. So that's what we mean by everything should be prepared to hang from a single nail. I think that's all I need to describe about how to prepare your wall works. Oh yeah, and there's also some stuff about how we want you to tag it. So most of your artworks, we just want a single one of our artwork tags. For wall work, we want two. This is the only time we want two. So you're going to make a second tag and you're going to tie it with a string or a piece of yarn to the hanging wire so that it can hang over onto the front. And that's because when our members hang everything on the walls, they won't be able to turn it around and look at what the label says on the back. So we want to have that tag hanging over the front so that people can identify it that way and match up the right label with the right artwork. And on that point, maybe also make sure on drop-off day that you've attached the right label to the right artwork. And work on paper is the other kind of demo that I wanted to do. So if you have unframed works on paper and they're going to be loose in our bin and people can kind of flip through them, we want to do a few things to make sure that they won't get damaged, bent, dirty, and so on. So first of all, if this was my unframed work on paper here, I have a piece of just cardstock, and this will provide enough rigidity to stabilize whatever I'm going to put in the unframed works on paper bin. You could use mat board. You can use cardboard, but I wouldn't use corrugated cardboard because corrugated cardboard can bend on the corrugations too easily, so it will really provide the stiffness that you want. And there's two ways that you can protect it. So you can use a plastic sleeve like this one and just slip it in, or you can use, what is this called?
Cellophane?
Cellophane, thank you. You can use cellophane. You can cut it so that you can wrap it around the entire artwork and backing, and then you would just tape it on the back, tape it closed. So those are two ways that you can do that to make sure that the artwork will be protected for the print bin.
Like cereal box cardboard is actually like the best kind of cardboard to pack. Or, cracker box or whatever.
Yeah.
There's size limits to how big you could get box cereal, but.
That is a hot tip. And then I didn't bring any examples of this, but with your pedestal works, because they may be sort of unusual shapes and sizes, you can tape one of the artwork labels to the bottom if it's a sculptural object. Or you could, we have some little tags, or you can buy the little tags with thread to attach to jewelry or to fiber art or textile work. So as long as it's not going to get separated. And as Madeline mentioned, the last page of the guidelines is the artwork labels. We don't require that you use ours, but if you do use ours, it'll have all the information that we want. All right.
Find my cursor. Well, and whether you're following along or watching this after, you can see it. We do also have just written directions in here as well, so. Some examples.
It's not very hard, that's the main thing. Right, and tips for photographing your work. So as Madeline mentioned in the guideline, there is a place for you to select how you're giving us your photographs, or if you want the gallery to take photographs for you. We prefer that artists provide their own photographs because they're going to be happy they're presenting their artwork the way they want it to be seen. And this is also really important to us for our online sales webpage. That's honestly a really important, not just sales for us, but promotional venue. So people do go there, they look through those photos and then they come to the gallery in person and buy something. So it is important to have photographs of all of the artworks you're submitting and to have good photographs. And some of the guidelines, I guess, for good quality photos are to take a photograph of your artwork straight on. And so there's kind of, you don't want it to be distorted where it appears that your canvas, let's say if it's two-dimensional artwork, is not a rectangle or a square, it's skinny at one end. Should be evenly lit. Represent the colors faithfully, so don't use an Instagram filter to beautify it. And not have glare. So this is one of the instances where I think it's especially important that artists take their own photographs. And that's if you're going to frame your artwork under glass, it's very difficult to photograph something that's in a glass fronted frame. So we prefer that the artist takes a photograph before it's framed.
We will not unframe things.
No. We will not. Try and ensure that your images are in focus, not blurry. Crop to the edges of the artwork. So don't have a large expansive wall, like kind of tiny artwork in the middle. It should be straight, not distorted. And also photograph against a neutral, non-distracting background. Again, we have lots of tools now that make it a lot easier for us to get rid of things. If the only place that you have to photograph it has like orange floral wallpaper, I would suggest actually you maybe set up a scrim of just white paper, and then you can take a more neutral photograph of your artwork. And show the entire artwork. In the case of three-dimensional work, you can take a shot from the best angle, and I will say in a few cases, we can include 2 photographs. And Madeline went through all of the instructions for how to share your photographs with us. I know it can be challenging. One of the pitfalls that I wanted to remind folks of is if you're using a smartphone, the file format for photographs in your smartphone is something called HEIC, and it's not a file format that we can use. So we do really need to have JPEGs or PNG files. And we have some nice examples of well photographed work. And actually, the image on the left from Patrick Fernandez, that's a really good example. So he didn't have a neutral place to take that photograph, but he just set up a scrim, a big sheet of white paper to photograph against. So that's, it's an easy thing to do, and it looks really great. And you can also see Madison's drawing that would have been framed under glass, but she took that photograph before she framed it. So we don't have glare. A few more questions. Where will the show be? It's in our main gallery space, and really exciting. You can see some photographs there of one of our previous member show and sale exhibitions in the main gallery. And of course, we also have our online sales page. And we include your entries in both the online and in-person exhibitions. I know we do have a lot of entries. As I mentioned, we had about 150 artists participate last year, the year before. But if you do notice, you go online and you notice that something is not right on the online sales page, please reach out and give us an opportunity to correct that. We'd like to know sooner than later. And the Art Gallery of Regina, hopefully you've been here before. It's located inside the Neil Bothwell Civic Arts Center at 2420 Elphinstone Street. The nearest intersection is College Avenue and Elphinstone Street. There is a map on the next page, great. So there is accessible parking at both the front and the back doors, and it's marked on this big map on the next page. You can also use those accessible parking stalls for loading, but especially on artwork drop-off and pickup days, like be aware that there are folks who will need to use the accessible stalls because they have accessibility needs. And the Art Gallery of Regina is always free admission, including for our members show and sale. So we're open 11 to 7, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1 to 5, Friday and Saturday. And yes, on the other page, it sort of shows you a nice aerial shot where we are compared to Elphinstone Street at College. Closer to Elphinstone Street is the Regina Senior Citizen Center, so don't go there. Don't send anyone there.
It'll happen.
And I also marked the front door of the building with an icon that says in, because most people go to the back door. It's the one you can see from the parking lot. So if you want to have a really unique experience, you can use front door. And then there's the tags. So if they're, I feel like we've exhaustively covered everything, but is there any?
Fabulous. I did have one other question.
Yeah.
So for the dimensions, if a piece is like on a tondo, how do you want that labeled under dimensions if it's like a circle?
Oh, I see. Sure. So if it's a circular or other kind of unconventional measurement, for a circle, I would say you can give us the diameter.
Yeah.
And because it's a circle, it'll be the same dimension in any direction.
So just if it's like, say, like an 18-inch circle, just
Yeah.
18 inches, it doesn't have to say anything else.
I could also, I mean, it can say 18 by 18, like if you wanted to fit in the, like, you know,
Right.
by width.
I wasn't sure how specific it had to be.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really good question. And I think that, you know, yeah, that's great. And if you do a circular canvas, just be sure as well that it's clearly marked on the back where is up. Because, you know, we had one time where, you know, the artist's signature, we put that where we thought the artist's signature, like we hung it in the way that we thought the artist's signature would be in the right spot. And the artist came and said, like, we did it wrong and they wanted it, you know, rotated, like, I don't know what it was, 30 degrees or something. So if you have something unconventional like that, again, just make sure that the hanging hardware, that should really help us ensure that we're hanging it the right way up. We're not going to hang it like this if the hanging wire is over here. That's a great question. And I'm trying to think, there's some cases where you can use approximate dimensions if it's not exactly a square or rectangular artwork, that's fine. Or yeah, things like taking a diameter measurement, or I'm trying to think, we just had one in our current exhibition that was a strange dimension. I remember thinking, oh, I had to get creative with how we
I would default to the widest, like the largest measurement on each axis.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that means we're done. We can stop recording, and I guess once again we remind everyone to go to our website www.artgalleryregina.ca or call 306-522 or email info@artgalleryregina.ca if you have questions or need clarification.
And thank you.
And thank you.